Podcast with Michelle True.
Hello, family, and welcome to the Say Something Podcast with Michelle True. This is episode 5. And as I will always tell you, if you have reached this episode and you haven't seen the previous ones, it is important that you go back and watch them because there is prior knowledge that is needed to understand all that is going on. I told my family that these first 6 episodes is one complete thought that I tried to break down into different segments so that it was easier to digest. So it is important that you listen to these in sequence. Today, I'm going to talk about sisters. In episode 4, I gave you a poem about my daughter and my mother. And I feel like it's best to give you this one in this sequence. And I know my brother might be a little bit offended that he didn't come next. But I have a poem about him and my son for episode 6. Go with me on today's journey. And if you are looking for a sisterhood, we got you. Join me today as I give you the poem, Soul Sister. She is my queen, she is my one, oh, she's my mother, yeah, she's the one. I can talk to her because she understands everything I go through and everything I am. She's my support system, I can't live without her. The best thing since sliced bread is her kiss, her hugs, her bliss, her love. And I just want the whole world to know about my soul sister. When I look in the mirror, I can easily see my sister. Her glitter sparkles like the bright morning star despite her scars. My sister's soul is more than a role she plays, it's in her stroll. She makes life whole even when it looks like, feels like she's not in control. In our sisterhood, there is no should, could, would. We do good and stand for one another. She is my auntie, my cousin, my daughter, my sister, my friend, my mother, and granny too. We remember to stay true to each other through thick and thin, loss and win, because despite all other relationships, she remains a true and loyal friend. We may not always agree, but honesty is our key, our glue that allows us to break through and achieve something new, something we never had before, where we each can accomplish more and no one is keeping score. Whether we are crying in the closet or dancing on the dance floor, we can be seen and be heard. And our dreams are never deferred because we hold each other to our word. We are profound and bound together like cinnamon and brown sugar. We are women of virtue and valor, mostly sweet, but sometimes sour. We hold the power. It's in our wombs. It's more than our costumes and how we wear our hair. We are heir to a great and mighty throne, and we will not be blown or thrown away. We are sisters from different earthly misters, but our heavenly Father is all the same. We call each other by our name, no finger pointing or passing blame. And he has put us in this position and given us permission to form this coalition that we call sisterhood. You are my sister, and I am your keeper. I am your sister and you are my keeper, and the only ways we can be reapers of what we sow is if we are willing to build and grow and let other sisters know that despite your scars, I see you for who you are, my soul sister. And your reflection could not be any clearer in my mirror. I love you. I would never try to hurt you. I want you to know that I'm here for you, forever true. On my wedding day, my father tells me a story. He said that I have twin sisters, about 3 years older than me. My father told me that he had an affair on his first wife with a married woman. And because she did not want her husband to believe that she had an affair, they conjured up this plan to make this man believe that the twin girls were his. I do believe that that is part of the reason why my dad fought my mother so hard for my brother and I. He wasn't ready to lose 2 more of his kids. I asked my father, how could he be sure if the girls were his? And he told me that my grandmother, she saw them when they were older. And she said, Michael, them yo kids, Dawsons have a look. I wrestle with the thought of looking for my sisters. But who am I to mess up their lives if they have believed their whole life that the man that raised them was their father? Who am I to turn their worlds upside down? It would be just disrespectful on so many levels. So I let it go. But I always keep it in the back of my head, knowing I have sisters. As I told you guys in episode 4, my mother has a daughter that is about 2 years older than me, my big sister. What I didn't tell you is that my mother has a daughter about 10 years younger than me, my little sister. I've got sisters. Then, when I was about 16 years old, my father was involved with this woman and she got pregnant. He signed the birth certificate because they lived in our house, but he never believed that he was the father, because Dawsons have a look. But he signed the paper anyway, so I've got sisters. But sadly, I don't have a relationship with most of them. My big sister Nicole and I, we talk. And I appreciate the realness that she gives me. She does not sugarcoat anything for me. From the time I was like 14 years old till now, she has always kept it 100. And even though it hurts my feelings sometimes, we don't play phony. We don't play fake. And I admire her for that. Before I moved overseas, I got to be in her wedding. She said that it was important for me to be a part of this historic time in her life. When I moved, she told me straight up, I don't want an internet relationship. I was hurt. But I was glad that she didn't play games with my emotions, having me expecting something that wasn't going to happen. She was real. She said, when you come home, we're locked in. We're like this. But I don't want an internet relationship. And I had to respect her truth. My sister Nicole, she brings me joy. A smile comes on my face whenever her name pops up on my phone or I think about her. We did not grow up together, but we have a relationship that I believe is strong. There are times when I wished we lived closer together. I think if we did, we would have this tight-knit relationship, this sisterly bond that I have always desired. But I'm not moving to Baltimore, and I don't see her leaving. So I guess I'll just have to settle for the hour-long bi-weekly chats that we have on the phone, where we inspire each other to live out our dreams. Because that's my sister. And even though there is a lack of a relationship, lack of communication between my other sisters and I, for their reason or mine, I want them to know that my door is open. We may be blood, we may not be, but my heart for sisterhood always has room for more soul sister connections. If any of my sisters happen to see this and desire to reach out to me, I'm here, ready for whatever God destines for us. Let's see what we do, sister. Despite not growing up with any of my sisters, sisterhood means a lot to me. Like a mother-daughter relationship, I always thought sisters were supposed to be tight, like glue. And yeah, we would sometimes not get along and get on each other's nerves, but at the end of the day, we were sisters. We have to love each other and be there for one another. And like I said, I didn't grow up with my sisters, but God gave me a sisterhood of a different kind. I remember my mentor, Miss Cassandra, asking me when I was a senior in high school if I was going to pledge when I got to university. And at the time, I only knew 2 organizations that shall remain nameless. They were my guidance counselors. I didn't like the way I saw those 2 women interact with each other. It might have been playful, but to me, it looked petty. To me, it looked like they didn't like each other. And I said, if those are my only 2 options, I do not want to be associated with that kind of sisterhood. I didn't know about the other 2 organizations until I got to Florida Memorial. At Florida Memorial, I saw this young, tiny little girl named Latia Brown in her blue and gold, my favorite colors, working her butt off. I saw her doing service for the campus and for the community. And I told my boyfriend at the time, who had just crossed to be an Omega, I told him, I want to help her. I want to be a part of whatever organization that she is a part of. And he told me the best thing to do. He said, do your research. And I did. When I learned about Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated was founded at Butler University, the only national pan-Hellenic council sorority not founded at a historically Black college or university, in 1922, across the street from the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. I said, these are some warrior women. They did something that was truly amazing and historic, and I wanted to be a part of that. I kept reading, and I learned that the 7 founders were educators, and I was studying to be an educator. I saw what they did in their respective communities. I reflected on their principles of sisterhood, scholarship, and service. I prayed to God and I said, Lord, is this for me? Is this where you want me to be? And I feel like he gave me a clear answer. But it was spring of 2002. So I did my research and I knew in my heart that Sigma Gamma Rho was the only way to go for me. But then I got pregnant. And at the end of my freshman year, I took a semester off to figure out where my life was going. After I had an abortion, I returned to Florida Memorial University in January of 2003. And on May 3rd, 2004, I was inducted into the glamorous Gamma Xi chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I'm honored to be a part of this legacy of women, but I won't pretend that it has been smooth all of my 21 years of service. It has been a bumpy road. You see, when I graduated in 2006, stories of my past, stories of the reaction time of my life, they resurfaced. And members of my organization thought that I was breaking the sorority's creed and not holding up the standard of Sigma women. They were trying to hold me accountable to the actions of my past, actions that happened long before I became a member of Sigma Gamma Rho. It went beyond my undergrad chapter to a regional level. But my regional officer told my chapter and my grad chapter that because it happened before I became a Sigma and they didn't do their research, that there was nothing they could do. They could not put me out. And I was good to stay. I was relieved, but I was Sigma hurt. It was my expectation that my sisters were supposed to hold me down, and they didn't. So I stopped paying my dues. From 2007 to 2018, for 11 years, I participated in service projects, but I would not pay to be a part of a sisterhood because a handful of sisters who hurt my feelings. But when I moved to the UAE in 2011, it was my sisterhood that revived me. We showed love to each other like no other. We built connections. We had family overseas. The ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated were the first D9 organization to charter a chapter in the United Arab Emirates. I think it was in 2014. I looked at that and I said, why not Sigma? But because I wasn't financial or connected to any chapter, I didn't know the work that was needed, the red tape that I had to do to make my dream a reality. Until God sent me my soror, Dr. Lonnie San Antonio. She just happened to come from the same chapter that my international anti-bacillus, the vice president, was a member of. And they had a great connection. So when I spoke about chartering in the UAE, we were able to make it all come together. And on September 28, 2019, I became a charter member of the first international chapter in the Middle East of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I was voted the vice president in charge of getting 23 members to charter. We created our 5-year plan on how we were going to do the work of Sigma in a foreign land. And we had the backing of our international headquarters every step of the way. I was blessed to be a part of the Desert Poodles. But my journey didn't stop there. Because not only was I blessed to charter Mu Phi Sigma in Dubai, but around the 3rd year, God put this young lady named Keisha Green in my path. She was this bubbly, energetic ball of Sigma. She was on fire. And she wanted to charter a chapter in Japan. Our regional officers put her in touch with the Dubai chapter so we could mentor and prepare them for chartering in a foreign land. At the same time, God was working in the background because in 2022, as I've told you many times, God moved me from the UAE to Japan. And on October 28, 2023, I chartered my 2nd international chapter in Tokyo, Japan, Xi Alpha Sigma alumni chapter with 25 charter members. And again, I was voted the anti-bacillus. As the anti-bacillus, I'm in charge of membership. As of today, I have brought in 5 classes of nearly 30 women overseas. And it has been my desire to train these women to understand that every sister is not a soror and every soror is not a sister. But at the end of the day, Sigma work must be done. We are all human, so we are all flawed. And we all have our different preferences and beliefs on how we think the work should be done. We don't all have to get along. We don't all have to agree. But we must keep our founders' principles at the forefront. Greater service leads to greater progress. The work must get done. My sisterhood, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, is the only way to go for me. I love my S in front of my G. I love my G in front of my rho. I love my S, G, rho. I love it, I love it, I love it.
This segment of the Say Something podcast is brought to you by the Queen's Tea. Take a sip, gulp, or whatever you need for your healing and keep on queening. This women's empowerment group can be found at their website, thequeenstea.intl.com, and at our Facebook group, the Queen's Tea International.
For my daughter's 3rd birthday, she wanted to do a tea party. So I got 5 moms and their daughters, and we got together in the living room of my house and we had tea. It was so cute. I love watching the women and their girls. We were just having a fabulous time in sisterhood. Me and my friends, my daughter and her friends, over tea. And I thought of the number of times that I heard people say, women can't get along. Or if there's too many women in one space, it's going to be catty. And I dared to believe that this was not true. So the following year, I decided to upscale my tea party. I called it the Queen's Tea. I took my daughter's idea to the Queen's Palace Hotel in Abu Dhabi. 35 women and their daughters got together for tea. I honored women in the community who were doing phenomenal things. Makeup artists and fashion designers. I wanted to showcase their businesses, their talents, and I wanted to thank them and let them know that I see you, Queen. Keep on doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is truly amazing. I didn't know the feedback from that event was going to be what it was, but it was astounding. Michelle, are you going to do it again next year? Am I going to do it again next year? Yeah, I guess I am. So back by popular demand, I did it again and again and again. And we grew. And by 2019, our 5th year anniversary, we had over 200 women gathered at the 5-star Dustin Thani Hotel in Abu Dhabi. I flew in a phenomenal guest speaker, and I honored the women who, from different walks of life, who were doing amazing things. I was so humbled that what I had started in the living room of my house had grew to that magnitude. I had no idea how I was going to top it. But the following year, COVID hit us hard. And I was stuck in America. I didn't want to do the tea. I didn't feel up to it. I didn't know how I was going to pull it off on Zoom. Zoom was new to me, but I was using it for my virtual learning, and I am an educational technologist. So I figured it out. But I didn't want to do it. Until my daughter said, "Mom, are we doing the tea again this year?" And for her, I had to keep it going. Everyone was stuck in the house anyway. So the 6th annual tea was put online. I put the link in the description if you would like to go back and take a look. I recommend that you go and take a look, because it was really dope for our first time online. Online, our platform grew to nearly 1,000 women. And as long as you come with a positive vibe, welcoming queens, you can join us too. Our sisterhood is the Queen's Tea International on Facebook and Instagram. Check us out. There is something about telling women, "I see you, Queen. If your crown is crooked, I'll help you straighten that thing out. If you need some encouragement, some truth, some wisdom, I got you, Queen." It's okay to confide in us, because we will help you work it out together. There is something about building this network of women that was exactly what I needed for myself. Year 7 was also virtual. I tried to step up every year from the previous, but the year after that, my dad died. In 2021, I could not do the tea. My girl Dion tried to revive me. She tried to speak life into me, but I couldn't find a reason to celebrate. I tried, but it seemed like doors just kept getting shut in my face, so I just simply gave up and moved to Japan. And when I got there, a sister was waiting for me. She said I was an answered prayer. Twalia and I formed a sisterly bond. But my first year in Japan, I didn't host the Queen's Tea. I flew back to Abu Dhabi and hosted the 9th annual one with my friends that I missed so dearly. However, my time was short in Japan, and I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity, as we are the Queen's Tea International. So as I prepared to leave Japan in 2024, I knew I had to host the Queen's Tea in Iwakuni. And just like the Queen's Palace in Abu Dhabi, 35 women and their daughters, we got together and we celebrated the 10th annual Queen's Tea in all of our beauty, all of our splendor. And I got to acknowledge women in that community doing amazing, dope, and phenomenal things. And now that I'm stateside, I know that it is only right to bring the tea home. So on May 3rd, 2025, I am hosting the Queen's Tea in Atlanta, Georgia. And on May 2nd, 2025, I am hosting the Queen's Tea in the Washington, D.C. area. Home. I'm super excited to see what God is going to do. I feel like because I missed a year when my dad died, it's only right that I make it up by doing 2 years in the States so I can get back on track. And I want to bring together my sisters, the women who raised me, honor them, honor my mother, my godmother, my mentors. I want to give them their flowers while I still have the opportunity to give it to them and they still have the opportunity to receive it. And God willing, it will happen. I've got sisters. My sisterhood runs deep. I love you. I would never try to hurt you. I want you to know that I'm here for you, forever true. You know we can't get out of here without me asking you to do something. And today's do something is simple. Support your girl. Purchase your ticket for the Queen's Tea Atlanta. They are on sale right now. The link is in the description. And the tickets for the DC area are coming soon. So if you are a woman watching this, purchase for you and your daughter. And if you are a man watching this, purchase for the queens in your life. Every woman can be a part of this empowering, enlightening experience. There are options to purchase a ticket that comes with a copy of my newest poetry book, Bridge, Poetry That Connects. And this Soul Sister poem is in. I can't wait to see you there. And if you are not already in my sisterhood circle, reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram at the Queen's Tea International. I would love to invite you in. And then when you come to the Queen's Tea, Atlanta or DC, make sure you introduce yourself to me. I want to know that it was the podcast that brought you. I look forward to meeting you and connecting with you. And I hope to see you soon. Peace.
Thank you, family, for tuning in to the Say Something podcast with Michelle True. Make sure you like and subscribe to be informed on when the next episode drops. And remember, a closed mouth doesn't get